promote the vital interaction between citizens, politicians, and knowledge institutions. And of course, a very warm welcome to you, Commissioner Andriukaitis, and also a member of the European Parliament, Christel Schaldemose. Christel, you and I have met several times before, and it was also always about the topic of importance to health and well-being of the European citizen. And you, well, you and I, we just met, but I already feel that we speak the same language. And I don't mean Latin, even though you are a medical doctor like me. I sense that you are strongly engaged in the struggle to promote a European community in which all citizens are given the support they need to live a long and healthy life. I want to let you know that in this endeavor, you have a very dedicated friend in me. Usually speeches like this about health and also aging begin with a long and disturbing outline of all the challenges we face. And there are many of them. Most of us have of course seen the graphs that show the demographic forecast. We know that inequality in health is still tremendous and getting bigger. We know that the health system are actually suffering and under the weight of rising demands and lower budgets. But today I want to start somewhere else, because I feel that we are all right now part of a new dawn in Europe, a new way of thinking, working, and has the potential to radically change this gloomy picture. This new dawn originates in the assumption that Europe has a great and still hidden potential, which we are only now beginning to unlock. And if we succeed, which of course we will, we can meet the future full of hope. It's a mix of two elements, I think. Firstly, we are finally beginning with the citizen. And secondly, we are finally beginning to collaborate much, much more. So let me elaborate a bit. It should be our vision to take a citizen-centric approach to healthy living and active aging that empowers people to take responsibility and control of their own life. And it's an overarching desire of all citizens to live longer in a better health. And once maybe deteriorating in health, when that occurs to people, they are always looking for successfully to adjust and tackle disability and handicap. This is the reason why the goal of our healthcare system should, in addition of course to cure and care, have a far stronger focus on prevention and reablement. Reablement in the sense of learning and relearning the skills necessary for daily living as you age and your health may deteriorate. It is a public policy and university responsibility to provide the evidence for prevention, interventions and care that addresses, focus the individual needs when growing old, and to implement strategies for lifelong learning that teach and learn the citizens to optimize their own health and well-being. This will require an integrated, prevention-oriented approach to meet these individual needs. The key to success, of course, is collaboration. Clever collaboration at a very big scale, across borders, from north to south, east to west, between industries, between industry and universities, across scientific disciplines, between public and private sectors, between students, citizens, and researchers. And I think this collaboration is needed to leverage the disruptive science, education, and innovation in Europe, and to craft real solutions at a much higher pace. New technologies and services can be expected to foster disruptive innovations in the field of prevention that may prove to be effective as well as even cost-effective. And these innovations have to go beyond tweaking the current systems. The challenge is to induce a radical change of current practice by introducing appealing consumer-friendly services. This shall have to go hand in hand with new systems where providers are not offered the false incentive of payment for services instead of payment for successment of treatment. So how do we make sure that the new dawn turns into a sunny day? It requires a plan, because innovation does not happen by itself. We need to build the ecosystem and create the right pathways. And I think we are starting to do so in Europe right now. We are starting to build a strong virtual community of practice for innovating and to establish and scaling best practices and new solutions, taking into account the cultural differences across Europe. This is why we, as a university, have worked so hard to co-develop the knowledge and innovation community, the EIT Health.
EIT Health is Europe's maybe most ambitious initiative today to create exactly that collaboration and that citizen-centric approach for innovation for a healthy living and active aging. I think EIT Health has been a fantastic journey so far, to meet all the dedicated and highly skilled people from all over Europe, students, multinational companies, the best universities and hospitals, many modern and receptive public organizations all over. It has really given me a great deal of hope. And I believe that for the first time, we have people, that the community and the right approaches so that we can move. So I think EIT Health is maybe a first major step in creating a Europe-wide ecosystem for innovation in health and aging. To put it simply, I think we have found the right medicine in Europe. I think it can be fantastic if we can realize this vision. We could make real progress towards personalized medicine and sustainable healthcare for the future. We could create the foundation for a truly enabling society to the benefit of the citizen. And with this ambition, I'm happy to kick off today's dialogue. And in the spirit of such a dialogue, I'd like to hand over the podium to our Toastmaster. But finalizing with a question to you, how do you think we shall and could develop a viable model for prevention in Europe? Thank you.
Many thanks for this, and that was a very provocative and excellent start as a kick-off question. Thank you very much, Margrethe Weber, and thank you very much to the Faculty of Health Sciences for hosting the just about first in Denmark citizens dialogue at European level. You know, Europe is something you normally see on TV. It's a lot of males, a few females here and there, a lot of males, normally wearing suits, like the Commissioner and I am afraid to say, and it's talking faces. As a consumer of Europe, you are frequently confronted with a lot of being talked to. And if you're not feeling interested in it, if you're not engaged in what they say, you perceive Europe as boring. And one of the reasons is probably that it tends to feed into one-way communication. This is the exact opposite. Well, it's no, yes and no. This is almost the exact opposite because we, being Europe, the gentleman and the lady in front of you, would like to listen to you guys. So this is an exceptionally good possibility for you guys to tell Europe what we are doing wrong, what we are doing right, and what we should change in the future, what we should do more of and should do less of. 2 words, I should introduce myself. My name is Michael Vedsø. I am the acting head of representation of the European Commission office here in Copenhagen. So now you know that we exist, so that's also important. Maybe following up on the question from the Dean, well, no, before I do that, the idea for this 1.5 hours, which we have here together, would be broadly to try to divide this dialogue in 2 halves. The first one being on what we are supposed to be dealing with here at the Faculty of Health Sciences. So what is Europe about? What should we be doing in order to prevent diseases, to deal with diseases? And what do we do with what is just about, and you referred to it, Dean, what is just about the most positive element in our societies, namely aging, which is, for a stupid economist like myself, often seen as a burden on public finances, which of course is in a very narrow sense is true, but in a broader societal and humanistic sense is just about the greatest progress that we are making these years. I'm frequently speaking to groups, and I'm very boring, and therefore I don't normally leave these groups saying, well, when I leave, you will have forgotten all I have said, but please keep in mind just one figure. 2 hours and 45 minutes. 2 hours and 45 minutes. This is grosso modo the gain in statistical life expectancy per day for a European citizen. Now, when you think about it, the repercussions of this are fantastic. Please keep it in mind. When we have spent the first 45 minutes on these issues on which I'm sure our Two states partners here will be doing the utmost. We can turn to the broader picture about Europe as such. What is our continent doing? Is the EU in a crisis? If yes, what's it about? What can we do about it? If not, what are the paths towards the future? So basically the first half about health and the second half about Europe. And before leaving the first words to the state partners, let me just ask you in a very simple show of hands, do you generally feel that Europe is listening to what you say? Those who think, yes, Europe is listening to what I say, please raise their hand. And let me try to make a rather unscientific count of the, well, can I say half? Maybe just under half. Let me say just under half. Thank you very much. And Christel, will you do the honor of shooting off the debate as you see it? Thank you.
First of all, I would like to say thank you for inviting me here to the dialogue as well. I'm really pleased to be here, and I'm really looking forward to our debate, because as a member of the European Parliament, I also need to get more input to my work. What is your concerns? What do you think we should work with? What should we not do in Europe? But first of all, I would like to say that what I'm going to say now is primarily on health. I'm a member of the Environmental, Food and Public Health Committee in the European Parliament, and I work there with a lot of health issues, and it is close to my heart. And I believe that the European Union both could and should do even more in the area of health. We could and we can do much more in order to improve the health of the citizens of Europe. And I think that it is very important that we also look into the inequality in health and do something to lowering the gap we have there. And it is possible. First of all, when it comes to legislation, we have a lot of opportunities, possibilities there. We should make sure that we have even better legislation than we have today in order to protect the citizens. We do a lot in the area of protecting citizens, consumers against dangerous substances in food and in products and in clothes, etc. Even though I think that we can still do even more in that area. But we also do a lot when it comes to non-legislative things, and it's maybe in this area that I believe that we can deliver even more than we're doing today. Why don't we make country-specific recommendations in the area of health? We don't do that today, but we should maybe do it in the future. Monitoring, benchmarking the countries. It's a good way to find where we have problems, but also instead of every country reinvent the wheel, we could learn much more from each other. But not as a competition between the countries, because that often tends to be like that. It's not the way I think it should be. We should work together. And in this area, I mean, we can do it in the area of chronic diseases. We have diabetes, cancer, and things like that. We could do much more to prevent early detection and learn much more from each other about how to make a better care. But also in communicable diseases, we already have a lot of things in place, but we could do even more. But I think that it is important also when it comes to brain drain. We see that as a very big problem, not maybe so much here in Denmark. It is relatively easy to attract doctors, relatively easy compared to many countries. But I think we have a problem here we need to discuss at the European level. But besides that, the legislative and the non-legislative things, I also believe that we should do even more than we're doing today when it comes to research in the area of health. We are a big region, a rich region in the world, and we should do even more in this area. Working together, using our money together. We do it today, but we could do it even more. So, with these words, I would say that we can and we should do more at the European level, and we have a very engaged and involved health commissioner, and I know him from the Parliament's work, and he really wants us to do more. So it's just to come up with the ideas. Then, of course, we need to deliver. And it takes time in the European Union, but if we have a little bit patience, I believe that we can do even more than we're doing today. So even though I normally say, health is not, well, the way we organize health should not be an EU matter. I still think that we should learn from each other and work so much more together because we can do more to protect and to prevent diseases. Thank you.
Super. Many thanks, Christel. Commissioner,
Okay.
would you offer us your views on where we are going?
Thank you very
What we
much
should be doing?
indeed. Thank you very much indeed, of course. Thank you very much indeed once again. You know, my name is Vytenis, but he calls me commissioner. But I'm from Vilnius, citizen. I am citizen like you, like all of us. I would like to say that I feel very bad when we speak about, can Europe do more? Europe can do more, of course, here in Copenhagen, in Vilnius, in every town, because all of us are Europe, European Union. And if today we see some distance between institutions and understandings and institutions, some is entity as institutions. And then, you know, we will blame institutions and say, sorry, we have some distance, and what they are doing there in those institutions. But when I see my team, when I see my commissioners, I know very well, excellent Margaret Vestager, excellent commissioner, she is from Denmark. You know, I see my team, one from Italian, from Lithuanian, from Finland, from all of us. Can we, all of us, speaking about, can we all together do much more? That is the question. The real question is only one. Can we all together do more? As you know, such strange definition. Such definition is, you know, it's, of course, it's very sad that the definition was open, because it will be better to debate together with you. What do you think about health? But today you know that WHO definition is here. And if you see, health is state of complete physical, mental, social well-being, and not merely the absence of diseases or infirmity. I am not commissioner of sicknesses. I am commissioner responsible on health. It means that I would like to ask all of us to build allies, because only one thing is how to help Europeans to stay in European Union as healthy as possible, as long as possible. That is the question. Okay, we will look at second slide, okay? Second slide. What are Europeans dying from? Can you imagine? Stomach cancer, colorectal cancer, lung cancer, breast cancer, other cancers, respiratory diseases, stroke, coronary heart diseases, all other causes. You know, from maybe I see here many my colleagues from public health, from medical society. Yes. All those causes are avoidable. Avoidable. And we will do our best when people are sick. But how to do our best to keep people healthy, to avoiding possibilities to see those sick? Next slide, you know, it's very important. As red colors, and we know very well, all those red colors means risk factors. All risk factors. I am very happy to send message. Tomorrow is very important day. What will be tomorrow? It's very important in our life with our old Europeans. May you pass me a message about tomorrow's day's importance. Who knows?
I know.
I
will not say anything.
We both are today together, one team. Okay, who knows? Please raise your hands. Oh, guys, friends, people.
So repeat the question.
Sorry?
Repeat the question.
Tomorrow. What is day, very important day tomorrow?
What will happen tomorrow?
What will happen tomorrow?
Tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow, the health platform in this region will launch, and that means that every citizen can see their own data.
Okay, but it's very, it's good though, but not enough. Not enough. You do not win 200 euros. My price is 2,000 euros. Who knows about tomorrow? Tomorrow is the day when tobacco products directive can start. And it's the day when we will see possibilities to change completely market. To push very strong tobacco industry saying, don't stop, kill people. Stop, kill people. Because we are today all decided that health is not about sickness. Health is about healthy people. Our possibilities to reduce risk factors, the main risk factor is tobacco. Let's show next slide. This is very important. How many market driving instruments do we have in our hands? Can you imagine? Pricing policies, marketing policies, availability policies, consumer information, many, many instruments. We have all instruments in our hands. Science knows very well that those all instruments are very effective. Why we are so silent and so weak introducing those instruments in real life? Please tell me. But speaking of pricing, excise duties on alcohol, tobacco, sugar, and so on, minimum excise, minimum unit price. You ask me about tobacco strategy, about alcohol strategy, yes? I ask you, colleagues, what are you doing? Speaking about tobacco and alcohol, are you ready to raise level of excise duty? Especially on beer. Tuber, probably the best beer in the world, yes? It's probably. You know, but I would mention later, a little bit later. But of course, pricing issues, excise duties, it's in the hands of all member states. It's in the hands of parliaments. It's very simple. At parliament level, you have only one possibility. Raise your hand and say, okay, I agree to raise minimum level of excise duties for 1%, for example. It is possible or not? Is it our hands or not? What do you think about Europeans? And if you see excise duty level in Lithuania and excise duty level in Estonia, you see that its difference is very high. And in such excise duty directive, which was adopted in 1992, when we have only 12 European Union countries only, and as you know, such directive needs unanimity. All member states might vote. If some member states said no, it will be stopped. In 1999, they enshrined very excellent exception: zero tobacco, zero level to alcohol, to beer, zero level to wine, and possibilities to buy for personal use 100 liters of alcohol for personal use. It's enough, I think. It's enough. And then today, guys, buy 100 liters in Lithuania, take cars, go with ferry to Helsinki, and in Finland, sell it, because it's black market. You see much higher price on the outside, and you see smuggling. And it was enshrined in directive in 1992. You ask me about alcohol strategy. Can you imagine possibilities to change such legal regulation?
It's difficult.
Of course. And why are you attacking me, Vytenis? What do you think about alcohol new strategy? Of course it's difficult. But I would like to draw your attention. It will be not difficult if we all will agree in Finland, in Lithuania, in Copenhagen, in everywhere, keeping in mind possibilities to promote health. Promotion, protection, prevention. Three P. And I need to enshrine fourth P. Participation of all of us, because I am one of yours. I am not commissioner, forgot it. I am Vytenis, I am one of yours, and it will be good to exchange our views on those instruments, speaking about sugar, trans fatty acids, about tobacco, about all, in which we have encourage all member states to do more. But it's very simple. Forget about word strategies. Please be together with me encouraging member states to use those instruments in more effective way. Otherwise, we will look at next slide. And next slide shows very, very challenging picture. Life expectancy at birth. You are in better conditions related to Central and Eastern countries. But as you know, Sweden, Norway, but Western part of European Union is in much better situation related to Eastern and Central European Union countries. My job is, in 3 years, because I have only my mandate till 2019, and I will go out of my office, to change a little color. Can you imagine changes in such color, or frankly speaking, to prolonging life expectancy rate, fighting against premature death, reducing use of alcohol, zero tolerance of alcohol on the road, many issues. And to prolong mid-average on 2 years, it will be excellent, yes? It will be more effective to have results. Why I draw attention that we, members of parliament, members of council, members of commission, members of member states, we must be together, keeping in mind possibilities to change European Union. It's our job and my message. Thank you.
Yeah. Many thanks, Christel, and many thanks, Commissioner. Now, the Commissioner rightly pointed to, we have instruments at our disposal. And also I think the ball is in your court. Are we using the right instruments? Are there instruments that lie around in a corner and we don't use them? Maybe one of the words that I spotted on your third slide, Commissioner, was trans fat acid, which I think is fair to say is a Danish success story, in the sense that the Danes were just about the first in the world to introduce legal restrictions on this highly harmful substance. Are there instruments lying around that would help you guys and we as citizens to achieve the health objectives for Europe? Please fire away at our two guests. When you want to speak, please raise your hand. The gentleman with a walking microphone will assist you so that everybody can hear you, and we're also transmitting this little exercise here so people out in the world can also hear it. So are we doing the right things? And I don't want to, let's say, restrict your interventions either. If there are other topics related to health in Europe, which you find to be highly relevant, please fire away. This is your chance. Europe is listening. They are standing right over there.
We all are listening to each other.
Indeed. Yes, there's a gentleman here. Jens, Mr. Microphone. Yes.
Shall I shout?
Yes.
Please shout.
Commissioner, my name is Vytenis Andriukaitis in the public health, and I fully agree that the one thing we should do tomorrow to keep people healthy, stop tobacco smoking. There is no disagreement about, let's say, the damaging effect. And let's say we can doubt about, let's say, the alcohol. Stick to, let's say, tobacco. And indeed, there are all kinds of tools to get rid of tobacco. But still, Europe is smoking. And I don't see any legislation coming up. So you haven't given me the answer, and I want to pick your brain about, let's say, how do we get rid of smoking? So what is your idea?
My idea is tomorrow to see how European legislation, Tobacco Products Directive, started to do such practical way, introducing 14 measures, starting with possibilities to see new type of packagings, starting with the possibility to see new types of information, warnings on packages, and many, many things together, as you know. European Parliament in 2013 adopted European Union legislation, and Denmark has obligation to translate such directive in your national law system. And we will see. I today ask parliamentarians of Denmark, do you hope you are ready to fulfill your obligations tomorrow? Because if you are not ready to fulfill your obligations tomorrow, a day after tomorrow, we have in our hands instruments how to start with some procedures which are very so-called not acceptable to countries. And I will do my best. We have legislation, we have possibilities to encourage member states to do more, and I welcome 10 countries which were very successful introducing tobacco product directive in their legal system and being more advanced and introducing much more measures. And I welcome Ireland, Latvia, Estonia, and many countries, UK, which provide more instruments, which are today enshrined into the legal framework. We have legal framework.
But have I understood you well that you say that if Parliament or governments are, let's call it lazy with implementation of, let's say, legislation, because we know story already about 50 years, that, let's say, on a European level, you are going to push them to...
Okay, of course we have stick and...
Carrot.
And carrot. I will use stick.
But you know that, let's say, my interpretation of, let's say, why it is so difficult to get the legislation in, because the consumers want to keep on smoking.
Yes.
And if we really go into it...
But may I draw your attention on legislation content?
Yeah.
Because in such directive, many instruments to helping consumers to understand what does it mean. It's first time we change warning system. First time, day after tomorrow, they will see strange pictures on tobacco packages, very strange, very, from my point of view, excellent pictures. They show cancer, for how it looks, different types of cancer. They will see it. Yeah. And also they will see that you have 70 cancerogens in every cigarette. Please draw attention. And many instruments were enshrined in directive, and I am ready to follow my obligation and to control how Denmark and all countries will transpose directive in real life, and we will monitor. And if something not will happen, you know such word, infringement procedures. Very tricky word.
We're going to do Christel.
But just briefly, I mean, we already have seen an impact. I mean, over the last 10 years, for instance, we have seen fewer and fewer people start smoking. And it is due to some of the legislative proposals we have had. Also other things, I mean, the culture and it is not longer, you don't have the same kind of acceptance around smoking as we had 10 years ago. So I think it matters. But should EU have banned tobacco completely? Well, then the citizens would have banned EU. I mean, it would not be popular, and I think that we need to take it step by step. And this is an improvement, and what we're doing in the new tobacco directive is that we're targeting the young people. And the best way to prevent is to make sure that people do not start smoking, and that is what we're trying to do.
What I'm hearing you saying, Christel, is that politics is sometimes the compromise about what is feasible and what you can sort of persuade voters into. This.
But I would like to a little bit to add. Yes, we have some bans. They are enshrined in directive. Enshrined. Don't be. We must use such excellent word to ban, because 10 commandments from the Lord or the God in very strict areas. No, ban. It's okay. It helps society to do much more.
We need to hear the next question. The gentleman up here. Will someone bring that gentleman a microphone, please? Yeah, someone. Excellent.
Yeah, Peter Götze from the Nordic Cochrane Center. When we hear about causes of death, we always hear about diseases, but we can look at it in another way. Many of those who die from heart disease, the major cause of death, they die because of the drugs they take. For example, arthritis painkillers. And if you look at drugs as a cause of death, it is the third major cause of death after heart disease and cancer. Some people have estimated it's number 4. It doesn't really matter. We kill very, very many people with our prescription drugs, and many of those who die didn't even need the drugs that killed them. They could have done well without a painkiller or with paracetamol and so on. So what I would like to see on the political agenda is, in Europe, we are overdiagnosed and overmedicated. More and more people realize that. And we can save a lot of people by using drugs less. And drug deaths are about half of the tobacco deaths. So it's very, very many. So now that we have forbidden marketing of tobacco, we should also forbid marketing of drugs, because doctors will use good drugs. They don't need marketing for that. The last thing I will say is that I have participated in working groups under the Dutch chairmanship in the EU a month ago, and also in Brussels. And you will meet with Yanis Natsis from European Public Health Initiative last week, I'm aware, and discuss adaptive licensing, which is a new thing from the European Medicines Agency. Now they want to lower the demands for new drugs so much that we don't even need randomized trials, because we'll take care of that after marketing. But that won't work. It will lead to more deaths and higher costs. So we must fight adaptive licensing with everything we have in the European Union, please.
Many thanks, Dr. Götze. That was a very long question, though.
Yeah, but I'm very happy about your question. I completely disagree with you. I am a medical doctor. I spent 27 years in my professional life. No one patient never died for my prescribed drugs. No one. In my experience, I am cardiac-surgeon. I did many cardio interventions. I know what does it mean. And I disagree with such misperception. Yes, some drugs have consequences. Overuse of drugs is big problem. We must encourage patients and society do not use drugs without prescription. We must encourage it's a very important area. But I would like to say many professionals know very well what does it mean death because of patient use drugs. We are responsible. And of course also, if you use terms such drugs like narcotics, yes, it is a little bit different situation. And we must also say very openly, of course, we must regulate that some drugs people do not use some drugs without prescription. For example, antibiotics. It will be very dangerous to use antibiotics without prescription. And many drugs. Drugs is specific. Speaking about adaptive pathways, sorry, you are not right. I would like to invite you to me, and we will debate in very details. I will explain you what does it mean adaptive pathways if we see possibilities to provide diseases, especially in rare diseases area, keeping in mind possibilities to extend access to medicine to some very few patient groups in our society. It's very complex. It's very professional. I'm very happy about EMA professional level. And it's a good example how to disseminate misleading information within society. Also very important to say about vaccination. How many people provide information that vaccination is very dangerous to people's health and creates complications? Please show me evidence. It's not nothing with scientific approach. And I would like to say very openly, yes, I am ready to invite you to debate those questions in very detailed manner and to see where we have problems or where we do not have problems. And of course, overuse of drugs is a problem, especially in central and eastern part of European Union. And we must draw attention and many, many things. But it is not the main cause of death. No. The main cause of death is tobacco, alcohol, trans fatty acids, all risk factors which I mentioned. It is 100% scientific approach.
Excellent. It has to be a very brief reply, Dr. Götze.
Let me just respond. I come to Brussels quite often, and I would love to meet with you. And let me just say, there is solid scientific evidence.
Please show me that evidence.
Yeah,
I am very happy to take those evidence from your hands.
Let me finish. I have published it in a book I published 3 years ago. There is solid evidence for what I'm saying. And when you say your clinical experience is that you never killed a patient, the problem is that many of the deaths are invisible. If you give an arthritis drug to someone and that person dies from a heart attack, you will never know that this drug killed that person. But I'll stop here. I'll just tell you I have the evidence and I would love to
if you have
discuss
evidence,
it with
I am
you.
ready to take those evidence publicly.
I think there's a
And it's very important to say that all causes of death must be scientifically based. And now we have no way without possibilities to use scientific arguments.
Yeah.
This is statistics.
No, Dr.
This
Götze,
is
sorry,
statistics.
thank you.
I'm Lisbeth Knudsen. I'm professor in toxicology and environmental health, and I would like to ask you about the preventions that could be taken into force related to exposure to glyphosate. You know, there is a big debate related to the carcinogenic potential of exposure to glyphosate used in Roundup and other weed killers. And we have a big discussion related to the prevention of a public health problem that might grow very big. It's a matter of the scientific evidence, but it's also a matter of prevention.
Okay. Christel and Commissioner, are you happy about the scientific evidence underlying the EU position on glyphosate? Or are you disappointed with the position of the Council? Maybe, Christel, do you have views on?
As I understand it, the committee who was supposed to make a decision today based on the Commission's proposal for a renewal of the license for 9 years, they have not made a decision. They have postponed it once again.
Yes.
Well, it has become a huge debate around Europe, in the Parliament as well, and we adopted a couple of weeks ago a resolution in the Parliament where we called for we accepted a renewal of the license for some years, up to 7 years we said, and then at the same time we wanted more research in this area because IAC said one thing, EFSA said something else. They have two different approaches to this, and recently we got a third report from FAO on this. So I think a renewal with a limited numbers of years could be a good idea in order to research more into this topic and at the same time try to develop less harmful weed killers because we need that. We need less harmful for the environment and for public health reasons. So, I mean, the postponement, delay, well, if it means that they will come up with a new proposal in less than 9 years, maybe 7 years, as we proposed in the Parliament, I would be happy.
But I think there's only 4 weeks or so to run, Commissioner.
Yeah,
Are you
I know.
happy?
First of all, I would like to say that it's standing committee of plant protection animals and health composed of all 28 member states. It's not commission.
No, but it was your proposal on 9 years.
Sorry. But we will continue. And that
But wasn't it your
we will
proposal?
start
That was what
with
I was
very
talking about.
important issue about trust on science. What do you think if people do not trust on science? It will be good or bad? Bad. What do you think about possibility science has the right to have different concepts, platforms, and hypotheses? It's okay for scientific point. It's okay. It's okay. 2 questions to you. 1 question. It is possible to have common scientific platform about something, keeping in mind that some evidence are okay, and we agree. Some evidence are in doubt. We are ready to continue our researches. Do you agree about such possibility? Then? Of course. All agreed. Just I continue. You know very well, I spent 1 year debating glyphosate issues. I was very weak in glyphosate, and today I am a little bit knowledgeable. I would like to say, first of all, and European Parliament take into account IARC report. It was built last year, IARC report, last year. IARC is international research on cancer screening. It's WHO body which has possibilities assess identification. A hazard identification. You are scientists. You know, if we identify the hazard, next step, we will assess hazard. Second step is if we assess hazard, because identify the hazard, then assess hazard. If we assess hazard and know that it is hazard, we must go further, saying, okay, we must manage a risk. And then assessing risk assessment, in which situation it's okay, in which situation, like in pharmaceuticals. You know very well. If I take medicine, and you are a medical doctor, you prescribe to take me medicine 2 times per day, and drawing attention, please do not take 5 times per day. Otherwise, it will be bad. Because it will, for example, tetracyclines, they are considered teratogenic, they are neurotoxic. But if you need tetracycline, you must use it in some doses. Yes or not? Okay, you must assess risk. And then you must manage risk. Do you agree with such methodology? Yeah, that's what okay, if you agree with that methodology, Parliament disagree with this methodology. Yeah. Parliament decided that a risk identification is final decision. No. Risk identification was first step. Second was a hazard assessment. Who is responsible on hazard assessment at European Union level? EFSA. But speaking about EFSA, it's very simple to feed that EFSA is in the hands of industry and diminish trust on assessing institution. Of course, it's very important to ask, to show today that all universities are in the hands of industry because you have many, many public-private projects together with industry. It's a very strange situation. In all universities, you must see some projects in which you are ready to involve because researchers today are cooperating. And then I would like to send last message, which was done 2 days before, on 16th of May, joint committee on residue of pesticides composed from scientists from Food and Agriculture Organization of United Nations side and composed from WHO organization invited all. They have common decision about glyphosate. Do you read such decision? If you read such decision, it means glyphosate is unlikely carcinogenic, unlikely neurotoxic, unlikely mutagenic. I have in my hands 7 scientific bodies, 7, which presented scientific opinion, inviting also IARC. And today we have common platform. But some political figures, some NGOs, some vocal people disseminating messages about hazard identification disseminated message that glyphosate is cancerogenic. As you know, I would like to take a joke a little bit. But it was what? Probably carcinogenic. Probably. Not possibly. Probably. I read very excellent advertisement from Carlsberg. Tuborg, probably the best beer in the world. That's probably positive. But if probably carcinogenic is negative, I agree with you. But frankly speaking, scientific evidence shows that we must regulate risk assessment, we must introduce precautionary principles, we must assess situation, we must introduce monitoring system. Of course, we must keep on board proper use of pesticides. Of course, encourage industry, go forward creating biopesticides. All things are in our hands. But of course, we must say that I trust on science. I have only one way to trust on science. And last science decisions, once again, takes the same conclusions which were done with EFSA. We have EFSA conclusions, and today we have joint committee conclusions.
So I think trusting science is just about the only possibility that we have to stay out of the new Middle Ages. And I think that's what I'm hearing from you, Commissioner. Time is running. I want to have a discussion about the broader European themes as well. But before we switch to that broader or European topic, I think there's one last question from up here. And then I would like to, let's say, switch gear and turn from health to, let's say, European politics. But that gentleman first.
Yeah, so many of us also here at the faculty strive to provide the scientific evidence that you mentioned repeatedly. For example, with the purpose of making treatment more precise, and the Dean also mentioned precision medicine in the introduction. To that end, we need access to health data, to exposure data, to many different types of outcome data, whether people are in and out of work and so on and so forth. Do you think the EU could be more helpful in actually granting us as researchers access to these data so that we actually can better provide the scientific basis for some of these policy changes, for example, around making treatment more precise? Because we have not felt that the EU has been super helpful in this respect in the last couple of years.
May I react? Okay, I know that the main issue is about data protection. And today we are in line to debate issues about, it's audiovisual directive on the table. Of course, it is it is responsibility of Günther Oettinger, but we do our best to encourage. I know that we have good cooperation with European Parliament in this way, together, to changing situation and to see possibilities that such data protection would not be strict, otherwise it will be very difficult to use big data and to use all omics. If you speak about advanced therapies and to build European, advanced therapy centers, and it will be really dangerous. But I know that we have very excellent cooperation in this field, and I think that finally it is in hands today of both co-legislators. But I know that Parliament is very active to provide more reliable solution, not to restrict protection data in in field of medicine. I think it's.
Well, we just adopted the new data protection package, and I'm really happy that we ended up with a very good result. At a certain time, we were quite. I feared that we could compromise the whole research in health, but the result ended being quite good, so we can keep on doing it in the way we do in Denmark, and that is very important, because I believe that, of course we need to protect the citizens and the patients' data, clearly, and better than we have done so far, but it's not in the field of research we have had problems. It's in other areas we've seen problems with data leakage, etc. So I think that we have the new legislation is good for you and for the research in the future, but it was difficult to get to here. But I hear one question more maybe, because I think that every time we're talking about, in general we're talking about we need to be better to collect more standardized data in Europe from member states, more reliable data, so we can monitor better and make better research, etc. And it is difficult because we are 28 different member states and we have our different systems and also different cultures on how you collect data on the citizen and in health, etc. Just compare Denmark and Germany, we're quite different when it comes to this. But I believe that the Parliament calls always for more standardized data when we're making new legislation in order to be able to of course monitor the development of the legislation, but also in order to make sure that we have a higher level a better level of research in Europe. We need to have the best standards in the world, so we need to be better to standardize our data. But I'm willing to keep on this discussion. If you have good ideas in new areas, new legislative areas where we see problems, we need to take this fight as we did when it came to data protection package, and I hope that you're satisfied with the result there.
Thanks to both of you, and many thanks for your questions in the broad area of how to make the most of health and well-being and how we can take the European dimension of our health policy forwards. I would like to spend the last, say, 20-25 minutes on the broader debate on where Europe is going. What is Europe good for? Where's Europe's weaknesses and what should it be doing? Now, I want to propose a question to you, and I want to see a show of hands. This being a bright crowd is going to be slightly more complicated than last time, because I'm going to propose 5 different topics. And my question to you is, which of these is the most important one for Europe to engage in? Did you get that? I'm going to read the 5 possibilities, and I'm going to give you 10 seconds to think about it, and then we're going to count hands, okay? So, the first question, the first possibility for you to choose would be economic growth and employment, right? The second one is called investment. Think about it. The third one, migration. The fourth one, member states' public finances. And the fifth one, health, food, security or safety, and the environment. You think about it, and I'm going to count who thinks that Europe should first and foremost deal with economic growth and employment. Well, that seems to be a fraction up here somehow. Did you divide yourself according to persuasion, or how did it work? Okay, I have an indication. Yes? Investment. Oh, that's limited. Okay, yeah. Migration. Yeah, more widespread. I would still say that economic growth and employment is in the lead so far. Member states' public finances. Oh, that's a 0. Health, food safety, and the environment. Oh my God, yeah, okay, that's a clear winner. Okay, I think maybe there's a slight bias in the crowd who's present here. It's a possibility, but I mean, who am I to doubt the outcome of democracy? Okay, so that's a clear winner. I think you have a very important dossier here, Commissioner, and Christel, you will not be out of a job soon either. So.
Okay.
Very good. We have established that as a fact.
I would like to say, of course it's a joke, but I have many hot potatoes on my table. So many hot potatoes. Glyphosate, endocrine disruptors, alcohol, tobacco, cloning, GMO, many hot potatoes. And I would like to ask you, it's very excellent word TTIP. TTIP. What does it mean, TTIP? From my point of view, TTIP means tobacco, tomato, investment, and potato. Because all 3 things are from Americas.
That's indeed what the Americans are dealing with.
All three things are from Americans. Tobacco is very bad for my tomato and potato, okay. Investments also, it means I have 3 positives in TTIP and 1 negative. Generally speaking, I'm in favor to support TTIP.
We have a first question related to the, let's say, the broader political issues about what Europe should be doing, and that gentleman will now bring a micro to that, for that purpose.
I'm Liselotte Højgaard, Chair of the Danish National Research Foundation, Professor of Medicine here at the faculty, and also Chair of the Advisory Group for Health for you in the Societal Challenge 1, Health, Demographic Change and Wellbeing. I would like to change subject and I would like to emphasize the importance of the overarching big data subject. For some years, we have had the DG Research working very well with research, science, and we have the Health for you. And somehow I have been working in this system for quite many years, and I can see that it is a little bit of a silo thinking. You could perhaps do better for Europe by collaborating more between health and research. If we look at the crude figures, we have a lower finance of medical and biomedical research in Europe than we have in the US, than we have in the member states. And we were in a meeting this morning with the Danish Minister of Research, and we heard from one of the civil servants who are working in Brussels that actually one of the reasons why medical research is not so prominent in DG research is perhaps because of some local matters. I think it is extremely important that you think about to strengthen biomedical research in the EU. We both believe in science. You use science as the background for your decisions. And what we are going to propose from the health area is big data as the overarching grand theme of Europe, because in personalized medicine, precision medicine, stratified medicine, in health, but also in energy, in food safety, in the blue oceans, in every area, big data is an overarching and important area, and by then we could somehow strengthen the whole society and strengthen the whole research at once. So I would like to hear your comment on this, perhaps not so much about the political situation between health and research, but about the idea of big data. Because there Europe is leading, and we can really be leading. We have the S3 infrastructures, we have a lot of biobanks and cohorts, and we are the best in that part of research.
Thank you very much. And I was just thinking, in order to allow as many questions as possible...
Can you help me?
And since both questions and answers tend to be slightly longish, maybe we can switch directly to another 2-3 questions, and then we try to group them somehow. Okay. I think firstly there was someone up here, and then the 2 afterwards. Yeah.
Thank you, Tina Rosgaard from Cora, Copenhagen. Thank you both for a very inspiring debate. I was wondering, Commissioner, in particular, you said that you were using the stick, but I'm also wondering whether there are not some carrots available for you. And here I'm in particular thinking about, and I was one of the ones actually voting for investment, I have to say, but I was thinking about social investment, because that was promoted on the EU agenda in 2013 as a new strategy for Europe to move forward and not seeing, for instance, healthcare costs and also social care expenditure, in particular here thinking about long-term care for frail older people, as necessarily cost as burdens of society, but actually something that we should invest in. And since then I'm missing this particular element of I think what promised to be a very new strategy, thinking about investing in people. So I'm wondering, is it still on the EU agenda? And in particular, since you are in Denmark, because we're actually quite good at one of the elements which was promoted in the long-term care strategy as part of the social investment, and which was mentioned by the Dean this afternoon, reablement, hverdagsrehabilitering, which we're actually doing now as part of Danish legislation. And I think we're quite innovative. So I'm really missing the EU's sort of, how are you promoting innovation in long-term care for frail older people? There seems to be a lot of focus on health and healthcare, but what about long-term care, especially because this is going to burden, I'm sorry for using the word burden, but GDP is going to increase nearly to the double in the years forward. as people are aging and they need more social care.
Thank you very much. That brings the issue of investment to the table also, and I think there will be something to say about that. Before I will ask you to respond, there's first a question here, and then a question there, and then maybe we can group the four together a bit, and so we make sure that I think we start here.
Yes, my name is Birgit Nørung. I'm from this faculty, but I also work in EFSA as a scientific expert in relation to food safety, and I happen to be in the same meeting this morning as Liselotte. And I have a question in relation to this issue about research and innovation, and also being a member of the advisory group on bioeconomy in the Horizon 2020 program. And also actually in relation to what you asked about, what is the most important? Is it health and food safety, or is it growth and development? And I see that most of these research programs now are focusing on growth and development. And it's very, very difficult if you have research and innovation within the area of health and food safety, if you don't have an industry and can show that there will be that many people employed in that industry, then it's a no-go. And that's at the national level and at the EU level. And I think that's a big problem for our researchers in these areas.
That was a clear message. And you take a question there, and then I'm going to ask you to reply. I think it's on.
Hello. Yes, I'm Dorit Seitz, journalist with the Daily Politiken. You mentioned the TTIP as a hot potato, and even as an addition perhaps to the question raised here on this side, do you see Europe having to trade in on food safety and health issues in order to get a TTIP treaty and attract the investment and the jobs and the extra trade? Do you see the necessity of compromising, and in which fields do you feel that we are under most pressure in these negotiations?
Many things. And just to make sure that everybody is having the same understanding, TTIP is the ongoing EU negotiations with the US about a very extensive free trade and investment agreement. So you can also call it enlarging the internal market with the US. There were many topics here, and
but may I ask you to start?
But no, you can't, because the TTIP is not enlarging the internal market.
Wow.
It is. No, it's not. It's not. But anyway, well, I will not go into all the details. But the big data, as I understand it, what you ask us to be aware of, or to create the opportunities for you, is to make more research on the data we have on the citizens and the patients, etc., in EU, and make easy access to these kind of data.
And support research.
And support, yeah, and support. Well, I'm on that. I completely agree, and I think it is very important. But what we need to do is to, first of all, find some money to research. That's difficult. But I think that we also need to do something to give the citizens and the patients more trust that we do protect their data, because that's a huge debate. Maybe not so much in Denmark, in fact, but if you compare to many other countries in EU, we see this debate is extremely huge, and people are worried. So I think that, and the new data protection legislation can, I hope, build in more trust in this area. But I think it is important. We need these data. We need more research in order to learn more. But we also need to give citizens more trust that we protect these data better than we have done. And I think these two goes hand in hand. But I agree with you, and I think that we need to work more on this. And it was also in line with your question. So get back to me on this as well, because I think that we need to work more on this in order because I need to know what are the concrete problems you have today in this area. So get back to me on that. EFSA, well, I understand what you are asking for, and I think that the Commissioner should answer that. But I would say that I think what we should do when it comes to EFSA, I've asked the Commissioner for this several times, I think that we should maybe work a little bit about the mandate for EFSA. We need to give EFSA more money, and we need maybe to enlarge the mandate for EFSA, because what I think is the problem today, and that is the reason for some of the problems we see in the lack of trust in EFSA is that EFSA often checks one concrete substance. They don't have the mandate to check out, for instance, the cocktail effect. Well, often they say, well, we need to check just one substance at a time and not how they work together. So, I mean, we need to discuss how can we create a higher level of trust in EFSA. Maybe we need more money. We need to do that together to find the money for EFSA. And we might need to take a look at EFSA's mandate in order to make sure that are they do the right thing, or could we give them even more jobs so that they can act more proactive as well. But maybe we could take a discussion of that later on as well, since you're a part of it. I think that I will leave it to this, and then the Commissioner can answer.
One of the topics brought up was social investment, and maybe the broader topic of investment.
I'm very happy because all questions were about investment. First question, investment in research and big data and how to create sustainable financial model to support European Union science generally. Otherwise, if you have no sustainability, there are big problems year by year. Because if you started with some research project, sometimes you need financial instruments, maybe 10 years. Otherwise, you have no sustainability, especially in such areas which are so close to my heart, like advanced therapy or precision medicine. First of all, it's multi-sectorial. Second, it invites many actors together. And third, it needs business model, financial, economical model, permanent, to keep those possibilities to move no minimum 5 years circle to them. Okay, and it is very important. I would like to draw your attention. We have today which instruments? We have Horizon 2020. We have from Environment Initiative 7th program. We have a health program, very small program, which is not so big. And of course, also I would like to draw attention on very important instrument today, on European Fund for Strategic Investments. As you know, from one hand, we provide instrument, FC. And also we ask European Investment Bank to create team between FC and European Investment Bank. And third, we need activities from member state to present project, especially in the research area, to establish consortium or platform. Combined researches, it is www.invest.eu. Please look at it. This is additional instrument speaking about additional investment mechanism. And it is leverage mechanism which helps to manage risks of research, because research has always risk. It will positive result or negative result, nobody knows. And it is very good instrument in our hands today. And I ask Denmark to draw attention. Why member states so keen on, on economic projects? Energetic, why? Because it's more simple. More simple. But it is my questions to you. Please invite your financial minister. Please debate. Please ask member states around Europe, Baltic Sea, regional cooperation, and please present platform immediately, because it's good time to speak about possibilities to have new financial model, guarantee sustainability of our finances. Speaking about researches, especially in human being, in medicine, and of course you mentioned social capital. I would like to draw your attention. Next question is about social capital. If you agree with me, please do it. I am ready to help you. I'm ready to help you. I ask you draw attention on. And Ilkka Katainen is very active on that. And Finland just started to organize big consortium. But I would like to draw universities' attention. Please cooperate in this field. It's very important. Time is ticking. Time is ticking. Today in health we have only maybe 18 projects. But some of them are not in area of research, in the area of primary health care and so on. But I would like to draw your attention.
There are a couple of more questions, so if we
can... No, I would like to follow, because it's
yeah.
investment in human capital. And speaking of possibilities, my question is for all of us. How we calculate GDP in such a way it was calculated 30 years before? And if you look at GDP, if you look at macroeconomic figures, you never see possibilities to calculate investment in human capital as a positive one, not as a cost, not as expenditure, but as investments, and change understanding from a macroeconomical point of view. And I just started to debate with some prominent economists. My next step is to invite once again a round table and discuss with, for example, it will be good to invite Joseph Stiglitz and others to debate how to see possibilities to change situation and step by step to draw attention on human capital, on social investment, generally speaking. I agree with you, and we need to change. Of course, it's very timely. It's very, it needs assessment, it needs many debates, but I am ready to push on that. But speaking about our commission, we presented social pillar, we presented triple social A, and health is enshrined in those issues. And we opened public debates about social AAA. We need your response. It will be good also to actively communicate and respond to our initiatives, because we're also very worried about possibilities, how to change such paradigm into new ways, speaking about possibilities to keep people on board and those investments. Of course, as you mentioned, TTIP issues. TTIP is not about food safety standards. It is wrong information, misleading information. Absolutely. I am responsible on sanitary and phytosanitary chapter. I have meetings in Brussels, I have meetings in Washington. No one word about standards. No one. TTIP is not about standards. European Union is a union which has highest standards in the world. It's our responsibility to keep those standards. It's our responsibility to provide our law. It's our responsibility to introduce more healthy food standards and so on. It's up to us. And we agreed from both sides, and we made statements. United States standards are up to them. Our standards is absolutely our legacy. TTIP is about possibilities to equivalize official control systems, reduce time of applications, reduce time of assessment, and agreed on possibilities to compare our inspection bodies and to harmonize our inspectorate systems from both sides. Today, European goods are waiting to opening of United States market from 10 till 15 years. Can you imagine possibilities to sell our European products at United States market if you can wait 15 years? From United States side, 3-5 years. It's absolutely asymmetry. And we are ready we are going in debates, changing such situation, equivalency, possibilities to agree on good manufacturing practice, and many, many issues. But some always feeding such part of society with ideas, chlorinated chicken, GMOs, harmonized meat, Monsanto, and then end of the world. It's not about. I am from central or eastern part of Europe, but I am surprised about how many conspiracy theories are on the ground. Sorry to say, but the modern Middle Ages. If you are just speaking about innovations, you mentioned biosciences, biotechnologies. New breeding technique, ban. Cloning, ban. GMO, ban. Only big ban. Ban. And where is innovation? Can you imagine Europe as agricultural museum? Without possibilities to keep science on our hands, and then we are, all scientists are going to the United States. Yeah, because we are providing very strange picture. I am responsible on my background. I am a medical doctor. I can't imagine cardiosurgery without science. Can't imagine. But sorry, I am ready to be alone and stay very tough and say, sorry, I disagree with us Middle Ages. And if some feeding public opinions and some following public opinions, we progressive people must be opinion makers. And they ask society, scientific society, to be opinion makers, to change such paradigm and such trend. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. We will lost on every step. Glyphosate is a good example.
I think that was a passionate defense for science and for political leadership at the same time. One of the things that we do not control is time. As far as I can judge, there is time for one more question if you agree. And I think it's the lady up there who would like to put one.
I actually think that my question has been covered.
Well, in that case, I have two eager candidates down here who would like to put the last question instead.
Activity and obesity, and I think that physical inactivity was lacking at your risk factor slide. Also, I'm a member of the EU Scientific Panel for Health, so I work as a researcher also in EU. But my question is that the crossing borders is difficult in Europe at the moment, but also between research and industry and between researchers and politicians. So how to best communicate science to politicians to foster implementation?
Only one way. Use third P, participation. I am so happy to invite you to my cabinet, invite you and organize meetings, events, and be very vocal together with you. We must send messages to all 28 member states. I see today not about refugee crisis. I disagree to use word of refugee crisis. It is 500 million Europeans have no chance to solve 1 billion people's worries. And it is crisis. It's crisis of our values. It's crisis of our mentality. And today is the lack of pan-European honest leaders to changing situation. Don't build new walls. Don't divide European Union. Don't divide European continent. Otherwise, it will be difficult. It will be terrible. I was born in Stalin Gulag. I was imprisoned. I know what does it mean KGB. I know very well many things on the ground. It's unbelievable changes in my life that I am here today with you. But I am a historian. I am a medical doctor. I have 2 backgrounds. I would like to encourage you. Please believe in progress. We all are winners of Nobel Prize. Yes, European Union has a Nobel Prize and a Nobel Peace Prize award. It is all of us. I can't imagine such feeling. We must fight against such dividing lines. We must combine science, progress, possibilities, and of course also maybe create some social networks, positive approach social networks. We need in progress.
Yeah. Christel?
Well, it's difficult to say something now because I completely agree with you, but it's a question. I mean, my experience from the European Parliament is that we are quite open-minded, and we have a lot of we have a lot of seminars and debates in the European Parliament, and the members of the Parliament often attend meetings around Europe. So, in fact, I believe that we have quite a good dialogue, at least to some extent. Of course, we have some time problems and etc. But I believe that there is an interest in knowing more and listen to you and your ideas and your knowledge and try to bring it into our political work. So I just want to say, call us, write us. We are quite open-minded, but I understand in general it is of course difficult. It costs money and it takes time. But the internet and the modern times have at least done it a little bit easier for us all. But we are here, and I can say it goes for most of my colleagues in the European Parliament. We're very open, and call us, write us, and we would be happy to listen to your knowledge. And in fact, I agree with you on the lack of the problem of lack of physical activity. That is something we need to do something about as well. Yeah. Thank you.
We all need to do more exercise, that's true.
Of course, yeah.
And I think that leaves us with that gentleman who, unless you feel covered? All? The microphone is yours.
Okay, so the microphone is mine. My name is Lars Bo Nielsen, and I'm a professor here at the faculty, and I'm also a physician. And I was just thinking about, this is a proposal actually for investing in the future, and if you're talking about the future, you have to invest in the next generation. And I think that one of the things that creates Europe is that we can travel freely and we can go and study abroad. We have programs supporting scientists to go and do research abroad. But what we really need in order, and I could see that this is one of your tasks, is to create cross-country knowledge about healthcare system, is to create an exchange system for young physicians who are in training. They're innovative, they're incredibly smart, and they want to do research. Could we have a program directed for the clinicians who are going to develop our health system for the next generations? I think that would be a great effort for a commission.
Simple answer will be, like Obama said, yes, we can. But simple answer is yes, it will be good to do it. We will think about it. But cross-border healthcare directive is a very good instrument. And that's very, very useful instrument. I count on European reference networks. It shows possibilities to collect researchers, to collect clinicians, South centers, and to push very much possibilities in cross-border cooperation. Of course, also cross-border cooperation between different healthcare systems. It's very important. We'll continue. My job is to present next year country-specific, country profiles, speaking about healthcare systems. To have all 28 member states healthcare system profiles in agreeable indicators, manageable figures, statistics, benchmarks, and to see how to support member states to cooperate in different areas. And health technology assessment instrument needs cooperation of young researchers, and of course healthcare system performance assessment, also a good instrument, move in such direction. I am very enthusiastic. Yes, we can.
So kind of Erasmus for new doctors. Yeah.
And Erasmus for new doctors. I think that's a nice closing line, isn't it, for this discussion? Thank you very much for your enthusiasm, for your questions, for your dialogue. I hope Christel and Vytenis listened a lot. I know that they talked a lot. It's not least Vytenis, but he's like that. Okay. Can I ask you whether you think that this exercise sort of fulfilled its purpose? This will be a simple show of hands, not as complicated as last time, don't worry. But do you think that you, after this exercise here, have a stronger understanding, knowledge for the European Union, or not? So I think it's a sort of 0-1 question, really. Those who feel that they have a stronger or better impression of the European Union, please raise your hand. Those not, that's not bad. That's close to 100%. Thank you very much. I would have been disappointed by anything else. But thank you very much for the deans, for housing this exercise. In particular, thank you very much to you, Mrs. Christel Schaldemose, and to you, Commissioner Vytenis. And thank you very much for all your enthusiasm.
Thank you. It was very good.